I didn't do the full exercise, but I just wanted to give you an example because that's the first exercise in the old school lineup of 34 exercises that comprises Joseph Pilates' complete and original body of work. Here at B Pilates, we base everything off of that, and we follow a method that is designed to help you get from not even being close to achieve anything even similar to that exercise to being able to actually, at the very least, get through a few repetitions and then continue to develop it further. First thing that needs to be established before thinking about that is support. Support from the ground, support from the equipment, and then use some exercises that help you to explore that, figure out how to use it, how to build up the strength, the stability, the breath control that's required to endure through 100 repetitions of the up and down arm movement while breathing evenly in and out with your back nice and flat and supported by the ground, as opposed to really working hard and hyperextended in your lumbar area. So the first couple of exercises that we use based on the 100 to begin to strengthen the internal spine and also to feel and utilize support are upper spine curls, lower spine curls, and single leg extensions. So we'll begin with the lower spine curl. As I inhale, I'm going to just lift my tailbone towards the sky by tipping the top end of my pelvis back and further into the mat, deeper into the ground. As I exhale, I'm going to let my tailbone sink nice and flat. However, what I'm going to avoid doing is overdoing it. So instead of rocking up and rocking down and then pushing my belly towards the sky, I am simply going to rock the bottom end of my pelvis towards the sky and then rock to let it come back down nice and flat. Inhale, exhale. My legs are supporting this by allowing my feet to sink more heavily into the mat, almost pressing through the heels as if I'm trying to stand up. That activates the stabilizers from underneath my feet up through the inner thighs, which really strengthen the connection of my legs to my pelvis so that the muscles out here, my quadriceps, the tops of that line right there, the hip flexors, my glutes, my hamstrings, all of that can powerfully engage to lift. So the stabilizers from the stimulation of the ground, they support, they secure, and the muscles on the outside, the superficial muscles of movement, lift and lower. The next simple exercise deals with the upper spinal flexion. So as I inhale, I'm going to rise simply by curling my chin on top of my chest, letting my shoulders rise simply by picking up my spine. Exhaling, I rest back. So as I'm moving, I'm combining the lower spine curl with the upper spine curl somewhat. As I inhale, I'm lightening up the tailbone end of my pelvis and sinking into the bonier, wider area just above there at the base of the low back. As I exhale, I'm sinking my tailbone, flattening my pelvis so that my spine has something, a point from which to anchor and leverage the weight of my head, neck, shoulders, arms, rib cage, so that I'm not doing a crunch. Instead, I'm doing a muscle or an activity that really engages my core throughout.
from the inside, the muscles lining up against the front of the spine. The obliques more from the outside, connecting pelvis and rib cage, allowing my abdominals to stay nice and open and complete instead of just shortening like a crunch and just tightening up the center right here. Instead, I'm using the full support and surface of my abdominal musculature. Using the ground, the support of the ground from my tailbone, my sacrum, my feet, and looking for it as I rest back, bringing my rib cage down, then my shoulder blades, then my arms, then my head. Inhale, exhale. So now that we have the upper and lower spine connected, we want to connect from the spine through the pelvis to the legs at the inner thighs. I'm going to go for some single leg extensions. I'm going to start at tabletop. Feet forward, toes downward. This leg is supporting. I'm driving my foot down and back, mostly from the instep, so that I don't have a tendency to press too far to the outside and start pulling myself and twisting over to the side. I want to stay nice and straight as my leg goes long. So I'm going to inhale and then exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And as I'm exhaling, I'm sinking my tailbone down and my sacrum. I'm letting the weight of my leg find support from the mat through my body, higher and higher up as my leg goes further and further out. So I'm now grounding more at my shoulder blades, my arms, and then I'm bringing it back towards the hip, pelvis, towards the sacrum and tailbone. Exhale. Inhale. And as I'm exhaling, I'm feeling a connection from the lower abdominals down through the groin to my leg bone, deep from the pubic bone, inner thighs, and all the way to the back of my femur, my upper leg bone, where it connects in with my hamstrings. And now that's where power comes into it. All of these muscles hugging and supporting this movement, supporting the weight of my legs, while my stabilizers simply work on securing the connection from leg to pelvis to spine. And then, of course, you would put that leg down and work on the other one. So this whole time, the key thing is to simply remain aware of what you are resting on. What surfaces are in contact with your body. That includes your legs with one another, for instance, the spine curls and the pelvic rock. Using that to rest into, to leverage, to support your movement, and to activate your stabilizers so that the muscles of movement are freed to do that, to move, to work, to tighten, and to strengthen in this form as opposed to a form that is very tight, very bunched up, a form in which the stabilizers are absent to such a degree that the movers have to do both jobs. And that'll cover it.